vote. Record opioid deaths. I'm Michael Toscano. Polls are tightening. Politicians are stumping. The airwaves filled with negative commercials. Election day is almost here and the early voting lines are long. President Trump will be back on the campaign trail today trying to hold the Senate, as we hear from Bob Costantini.
Following his pledge to prevent migrants who get to the border from claiming asylum with a hint rock throwers might be shot, President Trump with one basic message he's taking on the road until Monday night.
If you don't want America to be overrun by masses of illegal aliens and giant caravans, you better vote Republican.
That was last night in Columbia, Missouri. Today he travels to West Virginia and Indiana.
President Obama campaigns in Florida with the Democratic candidate for governor, Andrew Gillum. In Miami, prosecutors will ask today that the man accused of sending pipe bombs to opponents of President Trump be held in custody until his trial. A bail hearing for Cesar Sayoc scheduled in federal court. In Pittsburgh, with the final funeral today of the 11 worshipers killed at synagogue, Steve Kastenbaum reports the grief-stricken community is struggling to get back to normal.
Tree of Life Rabbi Jeffrey Myers plans to lead the weekly Shabbat service tomorrow morning, as he was doing when 11 people were killed at Tree of Life.
When 9:50 chimes on the clock, it's going to be a painful moment, because that will have been the exact moment when the shooting began.
97-year-old Rose Mallinger will be laid to rest today. She was the oldest of the victims.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration says opioid overdose deaths hit the highest level ever recorded in the United States last year. Preliminary figures show about 72,000 people died in 2017. Also, meth and cocaine use are at much higher levels. Economic data just out. The U.S. trade deficit grew larger for the fourth straight month in September. The deficit with China actually hit a record. And the Labor Department reports U.S. employers added a strong 250,000 jobs last month and boosted average pay by the most in nearly a decade as they try to attract and keep workers. I'm Michael Toscano.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
The holidays are right around the corner. Luckily, so is Ace. So hurry in for our 20% off bag sale. Ace Rewards members get 20% off almost anything that fits inside the bag. Not an Ace Rewards member? Sign up is free and easy at your local Ace. Kick off your holiday shopping this weekend with big savings on quality gifts from the best brands. Don't miss the 20% off bag sale this Saturday and Sunday only at Ace. Offer valid at participating stores only. Additional conditions and exclusions apply. See store for details.
Indeed knows finding the right hire takes time away from your business.
Hiring a qualified data engineer felt like a second job.
More job seekers use Indeed than any other site, so there's no better place to find someone with the skills you're looking for.
I needed someone with a master's in computer science and database experience.
Plus, Indeed screener questions help you find your shortlist fast.
Now I'm back to having just one job.
See why more than 3 million companies worldwide use Indeed to hire. Post your job at Indeed.com/hire. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Source.com score total visits.
Nick Mullins threw for 262 yards and 3 touchdowns for the most productive NFL quarterback debut since the merger, the 49ers beating the Raiders 34-3 last night.
It was my opportunity to prove that I could play. I've talked about that a couple times since I've been here. But the biggest thing is just, attack your job and worry about what matters. And what mattered most tonight was the team and how we played.
North and South Korea will unify, at least for the next Olympics.
Athletes from North and South Korea marched under a unified flag at the opening ceremony of this year's Winter Olympics and competed in women's ice hockey as a unified team. Following inter-Korean sports talks, the rival nations say they want to participate jointly going forward in international competition, starting with the combined team at next year's Men's Handball World Championships in Germany. North and South Korea have also agreed to officially inform the International Olympic Committee of their intent to co-host the 2032 Summer Games. I'm Joe Ramsey.
And I'm Michael Toscano.
And a good morning to you. I'm Pat George. Motor vehicle or bicycle accident. Well, if you were injured because of somebody else's negligence, the trial lawyers at Papa & Gipe, a personal injury law firm, can help. All you got to do is call them, 727-461-HELP, or log on to papaandgipe.com. Keeping an eye on the interstates for you right now. 275, no problem, looking good. As far as anything on the Howard Franklin Bridge, all morning long, it has been quiet as a church mouse. Now, of course, it's a little bit heavy headed into Tampa, but no accidents so far, and that's a big change from yesterday. Do have minor accident on the Veterans southbound around Hillsborough Avenue, and one on Armature Road in front of Feather Sound. Seems like we have one every morning right through there. Let's check on 75. That's still okay. A wreck right around 75 and 301 area, and still working at one. Just north of Gibsonton on 41 as you approach Madison. Heavy on I-4 coming into the interchange, but that's just Friday morning volume.
Do you need life insurance? Do you think it's expensive or a hassle to get? Well, it's time to think again. Introducing Sagicor Now from Sagicor Life Insurance Company. Buy life insurance online when it's convenient for you. Get a quote, apply for coverage, and get a decision in about 20 minutes. Life moves fast. Insure it even faster with Sagicor Now. Visit lifemovesfast.com and get your free quote today. That's lifemovesfast.com. And now, more of what affects you and your money from the Sagicor Life Insurance Money Talk Studios.
Tampa Bay's business address is Money Talk 1010 AM and available on HD at 99.5 HD2. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Money Talk 1010 AM. Tampa Bay's business address.
The program that follows has been paid for by Katrina Madewell. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of Katrina Madewell and are not those of Beasley Media Group, this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers.
Welcome to Tampa Home Talk with your host, native Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time, passionate, out-of-the-box thinker, love for home ownership kind of realtor with over 21 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week at this time for expert advice on everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life better, and how you can be financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Well, good morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, hanging out with my sidekick, Mr. Leo Cannon of Barrel Engineering and Inspections.
I'm excited. I have books. I have 2 books. I have 200 things to do in Tampa before I die.
You definitely need something to do.
I definitely need more to do. I love this. It's like there's a bucket on the book. This is from Kristen Hare. I think we have her in studio.
So before we roll, Leo's like totally putting the cart before the horse.
Books.
But
I love books.
Today's show for Tampa Home Talk we're bringing to you is a best of Tampa. So it's a little bit different outside of the normal stuff that we talk about in the real estate space. But if you know and you listen to Tampa Home Talk, the mission of our show is to help you keep and maintain great credit, live within your means, build wealth, talk about anything in and around the real estate space, and things to make your everyday life better. And if you're like me, all work and no play makes Katrina a very dull girl. So that's why we have our guest in the studio today.
And you've read both of these books, I take it.
The first one, he's talking about our guest, Miss Kristen Hare. Welcome to the show. 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die. And she actually was... She was on that show, gosh, what's it been, 2 years ago, Kristen?
It's like 3 or 4.
3 or 4 years ago? And, gosh, has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long.
So we've been doing Tampa Home Talk for 5 years.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's been quite a wild ride in that 5 years. We've had a lot of guests on, and sometimes I totally just lose track of time. It's pretty incredible how that happens. I'm like, wasn't that a year or 2 ago? You're like, no, 4.
Yeah, I've written another book since.
So we're going to talk a few things about this 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die. And you'll notice, look, Leo, I marked this book up. I had a lot of chance to actually go through it.
I mean, this is like
that makes me so happy.
When we were in college, you would highlight things. You would
Cliff notes.
Yeah, Cliff Notes. This is like awesome. It's so rare to have a physical book in my hands nowadays.
There was something in here, Kristen. You'll know exactly what it is. It'll probably a minute to find it. I didn't get to do it. It was the Thai place under the tree or something like that.
Tampa, right? And so
what number
every
was
Sunday, I don't know what number it is, but every Sunday,
Thai Temple, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm, and it's in the new one too. Every Sunday, they have a Thai market out at Wat Tampa, which is it's on the river. You get to sit under the trees, bring cash. All kinds of amazing food. It is a delightful place to go. Really authentic Thai cuisine. You're like at a Buddhist temple. It's gorgeous.
So the book, 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die. What's the published date on this first one that you did?
That was 4 years ago, so 2014.
Okay, and we had you on, I think, right after you
had me on
published
right
it,
after,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what brought about the second book? Because it's not 200 things, right? As Leo suggested.
Oh, it's not?
There's a lot of stuff from the same book in the second book, but there's new things, right?
Yeah. So my publisher, contacted me last year and said, hey, do you want to write a second edition? And I said, of course. That was easy for me to think of new things to add and some things to take out. And I've been speaking about this book, especially at the library system through Hillsborough County for the last 4 years. And one of the things that I ask people is, what do you love? What's your favorite thing to do? And so I have had notes for the last 4 years of things that people have suggested, and finally got the chance to go out and try them for ourselves.
So you may be surprised, but I have a pretty good memory. So I remember you're not originally from the Tampa area.
No.
And we talked about on the last show how you actually discovered these things to do in Tampa.
Right.
And you really had to get out in the community and meet people and network and learn pretty much what do people love here.
So I'm a reporter. In my real life, I'm a journalist, and so I'm naturally nosy. And when we moved here to Tampa Bay, it was only supposed to be for a year from St. Louis. And my husband and I looked at each other after about a week and said, "Oh, we're never going back. We love it here. We love the people. There's so much to do." So we started out, and I'm from Missouri. All I want to do is beaches and Disney. But after about a week or two, I realized there was a lot more here to do. So I got nosy and started poking around. And what I found was I used my reporter skills to report this book, because if it was just things that I would want, it would all be shopping and wineries.
So
and
talk
breweries.
about how the whole thing came about, because your original thought or plan for the book was 100 things to do in Tampa Bay, but then your publisher wanted to add Before You Die to jazz up the book, right?
So this is part of a series of books that you can find around the country, and my publisher actually is in St. Louis, and so the series is 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die. His pitch to me was, can you do 100 Things to Do in Tampa? And what I said was, I wasn't here for very long, but I knew enough to know that this is a region. We cross bridges to get to each other. My office is in St. Pete. I live, outside of Tampa. I drove 50 minutes to get here. I don't even blink to do that. This is a region, and so it's not enough just to cover
Kristen,
one thing.
It's funny, when I was younger, and if you've been in Tampa Bay for any period of time, I know Pat George can attest for this as well. But it used to be that even just to call Pinellas County was a long distance call.
Right.
And then, do you remember when it went to 25 cents? Were you here when that happened?
Wait a second. Phone calls used to cost money?
Come on, Leo.
No, I don't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Pat George, I know you remember.
I remember when it was in Tampa, and let's say the area of Hillsborough and the interstate. It was a long ride to go to Carrollwood.
Yeah. That was the boonies back then.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Well, it's still a long ride, but now it's because of traffic and weather.
Yes, indeed. So definitely 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die with Kristen Hare. It's an amazing book. Adam Talley, one of our show partners, says, can we save a copy for him?
Yes.
And I'm sure we can make that happen.
Totally.
All right, so you added some new things out of the 30 that you add. Give me a rundown on what's in here. And then what's your number one favorite thing out of the 30 things that you added that you like?
Okay, so some new things. I was at a book signing, a library talk, and a lady came up to me afterwards, and she said, have you ever been to Linger Lodge in Bradenton? And I said, no, tell me more. And she said, oh, it's classic old Florida.
So wait, back up. How did you connect with, tell me about that
it was a library talk. So one of the Hillsborough County Library branches, and they have me out, and I do a talk about how to be a hometown tourist.
Okay.
And I kind of try to apply the fresh eyes that I applied to living here and to doing both of these books. So she recommends Linger Lodge, and she says it's classic old Florida. So, I'm like, ooh, beaches and, I don't know what, hammocks, what makes classic old Florida? I'm thinking shells. And so we go for, have you guys ever been there to Linger Lodge?
No, I haven't,
but
I'm going to check it out.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so I take my kids over spring break. It's in Bradenton. It's on the Braden River. And it is old Florida in that it is a tribute to hunting and fishing. And it is a kind of a museum of taxidermy. It's a restaurant with great food. The letters to Linger Lodge are written in snakes.
What?
There are,
dead, frozen snakes?
Yeah, it's all taxidermy. It's all stuffed. There's gators and there's cats. This is all stuff that has been there. There's new owners. Sat outside on the covered patio looking over the river. Really, really great food.
This is Linger, like
Linger
L-I-N-G?
Lodge. Yeah,
okay.
Linger Lodge. And it's just a hoot. And we went to... as we sat there, they bring it around the menu, and there's a menu in there for roadkill. And so it's quite.
Are they serious?
It's elaborate. Well, so this is what I ask Katrina. I say to the waitress, "Is this real?" And she goes, "Well, you have to call ahead of time so we can hit it on the way in." And then she turns and looks and kind of winks at me, and we were just rolling. It was so funny. So I don't believe that it's real, but I'm not going to be the one to order from it.
It's pretty funny. It's on there. Would you order it, Leo?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So that was great. Brocante Market in St. Pete, which is this week. If you love vintage shopping, this is like a warehouse full. It opens up 1 weekend a month. I've lived here for 6 years. Never knew about this until this year. First weekend of the month, and it's just a fantastic way to go find some treasures, and it's really affordable.
And what's the name of that, and where is it?
Brocante Market. It's in St. Pete. It's right across the street from Three Daughters.
Okay.
I'm told somewhere in there is a keg of Three Daughters beer that you can just like help yourself to. I have not found it, so I keep going back until I can. One of the things that I didn't have in the first edition that I heard about a lot was I did not have burns. I tried to stay away from restaurants. There's some restaurants and bars, but I tried to stay away. I was a little afraid of things opening and closing.
All right, so here's the thing with burns, okay? And being a Tampa native myself, born and raised here, always lived here. Yeah. And if you know my husband and I personally, you'll know that we live well below our means. Yeah. We can probably spend a lot more than we do. Yeah. So we're like, oh, no, we're not those people. But I have to tell you, one day I said, you know what? I've lived in Tampa my whole life. I want to go to Burns. Yeah. So we made a reservation for Burns. And they book pretty far out. So you gotta reserve it early. So as luck would have it, when we reserved it, it was early in the day, because that's all that was available. Mm-hmm. But that was like the best thing I could have done, because when I went in there, I talked to the waiter. The waiter gave me a whole behind the scenes tour.
They take you on the tour, which is amazing.
But I mean, aside from that, you know that all their stuff is farm raised.
Right, and they have this whole process.
But the people that work there have to work on the farm. Yeah. They start on the farm and they work their way up.
It's fantastic. And so I have the dessert room in there. I have never had a really good steak and onion rings at the same time, and I would definitely go back. I thought it was a fantastic thing to have. And then we have so many new breweries. I mean, more every day.
Oh,
so,
yes.
And so my favorite is Levin in Riverview.
All right. So you're listening to Tampa Home Talk. When we come back, we are going to get our 2-minute insurance tip of the day from Adam Talley Insurance. This is Tampa Home Talk. We'll be back in a minute.
Curious what your Tampa home is worth? Here's an easy way to find out what homes like yours are selling for in today's market. Text the word value to 813-377-2775 for a free report on Tampa house prices. We'll send you a free report with up-to-the-minute statistics based on all homes for sale sold in your neighborhood over the last 6 months in all price ranges. To get your free report on Tampa Bay house prices, just call or text the word value to 813-377-2775. Are you looking for your next home? The truth is that most buyers want a home, not a real estate agent. I understand, but factually, you need an experienced agent on your team like me. I'm Katrina Madewell with Keller Williams Realty, host of Tampa Home Talk, and I've been in the real estate and mortgage industry selling homes for more than 23 years, and it would be our pleasure to help you find your next home. Love where you live, or I'll fix it. Welcome home. 813-936-2302. 813-936-2302.
Have fun with Mason-Dixon and the Sarge as they make sure the mainstream media is kept in perspective.
The biased media got this story off the front page like a hot vibrating personal device.
Jeez. Oh, Mason. Why do you do this to me?
I'm just trying to see if I can get your attention.
Mason-Dixon Wide Open with the Sarge. Weekdays at 11 a.m. on Money Talk 1010 a.m. on FM at 103.1, 92.1, and 99.5 HD2.
Guns, knives, military, concealed carry classes. It's all happening this weekend at the Two Guys Gun Show in Largo. Minareg Hall, 126th Avenue North, just west of 19. Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 4. Two Guys Gun Show, Minareg Hall in Largo this weekend. Free parking. Buy, sell, or trade your firearms. New, used, plus antiques, accessories, ammo, and parts. 727-776-3442. 727-776-3442. Two Guys Gun Show, Minareg Hall in Largo this weekend.
Welcome back. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. And if you're just now joining our show, today's show in our edition is the best of Tampa Bay. And speaking of which, we are going to run on over to Adam Talley for our 2-minute insurance tip of the day. Hi, Adam.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Welcome. We're doing great. So what you got for us lined up pertaining to to the best things in Tampa?
Well, I think one of the best things to do in Tampa, because we have such great venues and such great weather, is to have your wedding. And one of the most important things when you have your wedding is getting some special event insurance. Now, there's specific policies just for weddings that will not only help recoup some of those deposits that you put out if the wedding doesn't go through, which does happen from time to time, but will also help you with liquor liability if you want to serve alcohol at your wedding, which I recommend as well sometimes. And now some venues that I've seen, they're requiring this of the people that rent from them.
You know, it's interesting because I never would have thought about special event insurance ever. But Chrissy Kraft, one of the wedding people we've had on regularly over the years, talked about that one time and literally has shared stories where, you know, she had to rescue a drunk bride that fell in the pool and busted her head open and everyone's partying, like just crazy stories.
You'd be surprised what happens out there, but there's a policy for everything, and the price really isn't too bad. So especially compared to the other things that happen with weddings, you know, usually you add a couple zeros to the end of a price. But
so, Adam, what does something like special event insurance run? Roughly, what does that cost, and what does it cover? Like, what's the short and skinny on that?
So I've seen them as low as like $300. So they're very affordable. They'll cover the liability, you know, if anybody gets hurt or anything at the wedding. Sometimes if you have the liquor liability, obviously it protects you if somebody gets overserved and drives home or does any damage to anything else like that. Some packages include coverage for wedding presents. And like I said before, with the deposit if something, you know, goes awry and the wedding doesn't go through.
Makes sense to me. So definitely Adam Talley with Talley Insurance. We are going to post his information on Tampa Home Talk. If you or somebody you know is looking to get married or might need one of these special event insurance, that could even be like a party at your house, wouldn't it be, or somewhere else?
Absolutely. I know some places like the Tampa Firefighters Museum requires it when you want to host an event there, regardless if it's a wedding or anything else. So.
Definitely. So if you just text the word insurance to 813-377-2775, we'll get you hooked up with Adam. Again, you can call or text us at 813-377-2775. One more time, 813-377-2775. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Thanks, Katrina. You guys have a great day.
You too. All right, let's roll on over to Mr. Eric Hovland, and you are the associate curator, right?
Yes, at the Florida Aquarium.
Thank you for being our guest.
Sure.
Speaking of which, the last time I was at the aquarium was actually for a wedding.
Oh, fantastic. We are one of the biggest wedding venues. That's something that a lot of folks don't know. We are a perfect place to have weddings because the backdrop of the sharks, the rescued turtles, the coral reef, I mean, really celebrating what's beautiful about Florida and beautiful about your life at the same time, that's a winner.
It's interesting because it was a beautiful wedding, but honestly, I never would have thought about having a wedding.
That was one of the places we actually looked into before my wife and I got married. We were thinking about doing it because you have that like atrium area, and then you have the coral tank behind it.
Beautiful photo opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, the colors and the fish and just everything alone, like you mentioned, is just amazing. So tell me about yourself. What do you do as the associate curator at the Florida Aquarium, which is an amazing place?
It's fantastic.
That's on the list, right, Kristen?
It is. I saw it in the book.
Number 37.
Yeah. Dive with our sharks.
Both editions.
All right.
Yeah, because that's really, I remember when they built that. It's an amazing place.
I remember it too. I was there.
Smart to put it.
In fact, this month marks 24 years for me at the Florida Aquarium.
What? It's 24 years old, the aquarium?
No, I've been there 24 years.
He's
the
24
aquarium
years
will
old.
be 24 next March. Yes, I was born at the aquarium. I'm one of our spawn projects.
You made me feel so old just then. Thank you, Eric, because I can't. If you ask me how long the aquarium has been around since it's been built, I'd say 5 years.
People, right? Well, and then just look at that area now. You talk about real estate. Holy cow. Channelside now, Water Street, it's just exploding there. What's so great about that is it's bringing the community right to the Florida Aquarium. And that's where I've been from the beginning. I started as a humble biologist out there helping us find animals from the Florida area and around the world that we can bring to people's backyards, their backyards to their front door. Because folks don't realize just so much beauty is here in Florida. And if we can have you come to the aquarium and fall in love with the animals like we have, then we could start making, changes to better our environment that are better for all of Florida, because we're really about flip-flops and the beach and tourism. And those wild animals are such a huge part of that and a part of our environment.
So you've been at the Florida Aquarium since its inception.
Yes.
What's your favorite part of the aquarium, and what's your favorite addition since its inception?
I'm the shark guy as well. It's right on my license plate. So
you were just talking about diving
I've been in love with
sharks
forever. Yeah. Well, you can dive with sharks at the Florida Aquarium with our sand tiger sharks, our handsome sharks. We were actually the very first back in 2002. We started our Dive with the Sharks program. And what was different about us was there was no cage involved, because we really wanted people to understand, especially following the year of 2001 in the summer was all about the sharks. We know things changed later in that year on my birthday. But nonetheless, we were all about, oh my gosh, sharks, what's going on? There's so many of them. When it turns out sharks are really in peril out there. So we want to bring the story of sharks, the real story, not the movie version, to the limelight. We want people to understand that sharks are the ones in peril. 100 million sharks a year, we say goodbye to them through our interactions, but we can help learn to love these sharks by having experiences like back in 2002. You got in the water with the sharks outside of the cage, and we were the first, and now you can do this all over the country. It's such a great way to get over Jaws. The cure for Jaws is seeing sharks face to face, chilling out, swimming around, hanging out with the fish, the rescue turtle, the other divers. It really can enlighten folks and change their mind. And then I was really excited to spend a week just last month out at Guadalupe Island, Mexico. If you've watched Shark Week, Discovery Channel, you've seen this place. It's where the water is gin clear, and the great white sharks, it's like spring break, because they're all coming down there to meet and mingle, and maybe later on there'll be some pups in their future. But it is a beautiful place to see great white sharks. And out there, oh boy.
The aquarium, there's so much stuff to do. It's not all sharks.
It's not all sharks. We have penguins. We have penguins that you can meet behind the scenes, have an up-close encounter with. We, of course, have the atrium, the wetlands dome. One of the best compliments we got about in one of these reviews was, I really love the aquarium, but when I walked in the wetlands, it really needs to be indoors. It's outdoors. It's just too hot. And somebody was so taken by the natural beauty of the mangrove forests and the spoonbills. That's the pink bird flying around Florida, not the flamingos, even though they might be outside of a trailer near you. No, it's such a wild environment. It's such a home to these animals that they thought they were outdoors.
That's so awesome.
And that was a real compliment to us. It's like, look up, there's a beautiful glass
They thought they were insulting,
structure.
but they actually gave you a compliment.
That was exactly the case. Yeah, you couldn't be more flattered than to say, how do they get a coral reef into the aquarium?
I bet you guys were delighted to respond to that comment.
Oh, it was a joy. It really was. As it turns out, thank you for that.
Well, actually, one of my favorite things at the aquarium is the jellyfish exhibit.
Isn't it something? And we have more and more jellies now, too. And understanding that jellies, a lot of people just see them washed up on the beach, or maybe they get stung and they just have a bad encounter. But jellies are truly beautiful. And we reproduce those jellies right there at the aquarium, too. You should see the mad science that goes on behind the scenes. And in fact, you can if you know the shark guy there. But it's really something. I used to raise the jellies myself.
We might have to dig you up on that.
It's so cool. So many jellies from around the world, just understanding how they're a very important part of the environment, too. Because turtles, one of the big the tasty treats to turtles is jellies, especially the giant leatherback turtles. But there's a really good conservation message in there as well, because jellies look a lot like plastic bags and vice versa out in the water. And ingesting that plastic to turtles is not going to go well. Yeah. It's one of the big reasons we have turtles strand and bring those rescues to the aquarium for help.
So the animals at the aquarium, are they pretty much all or mostly rescues?
We have a number of rescues there. A lot of the birds that you're going to see in that atrium, and even some of the fish that you'll see, you might notice is he missing an eye? It's like he's been with us a long time. He got in a little scrap with another fish. That's no reason to say goodbye to him. We can still give him a safe home here. The turtles are rescues as well. It's the turtles that you do see, the couple that are at the aquarium, represent so many, the well over 100 turtles that we have rescued and returned to the wild. It's the ones you don't see that are really telling that story of they can have a second chance, whether it was an accidental boat strike or ingestion of plastic. And it tells you how you can make a difference in your community. Just appreciate those no-wait zones. Take it easy when you're out there. Remember, you're sharing your home with all these wild animals, and cut back on your single-use plastic. Make sure
you have a new exhibit too, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, it's HOTS. It's the Heart of the Sea. And it really talks about how we're helping save coral reefs, how we're protecting turtles, and how we're celebrating sharks.
And a new place in Apollo Beach, right?
That's absolutely the Center for Conservation. You'll be able to see this soon. We're finishing our Turtle Rescue Center. We are going to expand our ability to rescue turtles from single, dozens to hundreds. It's that time of year when they're going to start coming in. And we're doing things with corals that no one else in the world is doing to rescue and protect our coral reef communities in Florida, in Cuba, and around the world.
All right. Well, you're listening to Tampa Home Talk, and our guests are so full of energy this morning. When we come back after the break, we're going to go on over to Lauren Moser at Armature Works. We're going to have to talk about getting them on the 3rd edition of 100 Things to Do in Tampa Before You Die. This is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. Stick around. We'll be back right after this break.
Oh, we're having a good time over here. We're over here at Facillo.
Oh, we
Nissan
always
right here
do.
on 19 in Clearwater.
That's right.
And I'm with the girls, Gloria and, of course, Mackenzie. And we're just talking about what a great meal we had last night at the Sacred Pepper over there in Carrollwood.
I love their mojitos.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. What
I
you
love
have,
everything
Laura?
over there.
Oh, Bailey's. I like those.
Joe does a great job in the kitchen. And, of course, the Barlow family is synonymous here in Tampa with all the contributions they make to the community, along with that beautiful new restaurant they have over there in Carrollwood, which is great.
So gorgeous.
If you haven't been there, you owe it to yourself to go to Sacred Pepper. It's a beautiful restaurant. But getting back to selling cars, it's a November to Remember sales event we're having.
It certainly is.
And we're right here on 19, and we're getting ready to open our new store in Clearwater. But I'll tell you something. With this gift package we're doing on every new Nissan, now's the time to buy.
Absolutely. We're doing your holiday shopping for you. We have a kayak, a mountain bike, brand new
so much.
golf clubs.
It's all about being huge, Tampa. Huge.
Well, time to do a little bit of traffic for you. But first, a word from Papa and Guype. If you need a personal injury law firm, call them at 727-461-HELP, 727-461-4357, or log on to papaandguype.com. Got heavy traffic right now on 50th Street between Adamo Drive and Columbus Drive, but that's to be expected. All that industrial stuff through there this time of day, special on a Friday, that is going to slow down, but it is showing up on the map right now. Westbound I-4, anywhere from 40th Street on into the Malfunction Junction, a slow go. Had a little problem coming off the Howard Franklin Bridge, but it's 275 northbound around Lois. We checked onto it. It is southbound, so we appreciate that caller that told us about it. And it is off to the side. Courtney Campbell Causeway's doing all right. Let's jump over into Pinellas County, US 19. I do not see a problem. Let me go all the way up here by Countryside. No, it all looks good. We'll be right back.
Do you want to turn your business into a cash-generating machine? Step 1 is knowing how to measure your marketing so you know what works best. I'm Mark Steckman with Beasley Media Group, and over the past 20 years, I've learned most business owners hold back on marketing because they're afraid of wasting money and don't know how to properly measure it. If this is you, I've got great news. Having worked with hundreds of businesses, I've documented how to measure results and scale your marketing for maximum revenue growth. If you own a profitable business and you want a better way to measure your marketing, get a copy of my free report, How to Measure My Marketing the Easy Way. You'll learn 9 of the best tactics that'll help you make confident marketing decisions and a higher profit from your marketing than ever before. Great marketing can be measured. Go to moneymarketingminute.com now and request your copy of How to Measure My Marketing the Easy Way. That's moneymarketingminute.com.
I'm Amy Arrett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. It's very meaningful to me when I hear customers talk about how Madison Reed at-home hair color has changed their lives. Here's Vicky, one of our very first customers.
Coloring my own hair is easier than I ever imagined. The best part, I no longer have to sit in a salon and pay over $100 to have this done. Now I color it when it's convenient for me, and it takes less than an hour. People compliment me on how great my color is, and my hair is incredibly soft and healthy looking.
Experience beautiful, multi-dimensional, ammonia-free, salon-quality color for under $25. Join the hundreds of thousands of women who have tried and loved Madison Reed. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code TOP. That's code TOP. Try it. Love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
Well, good morning. We're back here on Tampa Home Talk. This is your host, Leo Kane from Barrel Engineering and Inspection, doing my best Katrina impression. How did I do?
I had allergy shots this morning, so I appreciate you coming back after the break.
Well, actually, I wanted to touch back with Eric real quick. We just recently, what is this device? I mean, we were talking with you guys, Libby and Ivy over at the aquarium. We just purchased a device to help sea turtles because we're very big on sea turtles.
One of the really important things to do when these turtles come in, especially these little turtles that might come from the East Coast right now, from the Massachusetts area, and they come in cold stunned. And I know that sounds like, a new way to serve ice cream or something like that. But cold stunning is what happens when you get that cold snap. You get that nor'easter up there. And these little turtles are in the Back Bay area. In the shallow water, and that water temp drops quickly. And when it drops even below just, like the 60s or 50s, they're reptiles. They need to regulate their temperature with the heat of the sun and the water. They just chill in a bad way, and they need help. So those animals a lot of times just need some TLC. They need some triage help. And part of that when they come to us is getting fluids and regulating the fluids that go into them. If anybody's been in an accident or shock or surgery, you're going to get a bag of fluids that might drip into you. But this regulating pump and surgical device that you so generously offered to the aquarium is going to help us help more and more turtles. And what's so important about that is more turtles are coming. It's that time of year. And our rescue center down at Apollo Beach, just a hop and a skip down from our Ray Touch experience over at the Manatee Viewing Center, it's not open to the public yet. We're still putting the finishing touches on it, but it is going to be open to the turtles very soon. We're looking at that this month. And extra equipment like that as a not-for-profit, a lot of folks don't realize the Florida Aquarium is a charity. It's a not-for-profit organization, so every contribution helps, from memberships to donations of important surgical equipment to just coming and buying a ticket and falling in love with our animals.
That's awesome. So our device is going to be used to save baby turtles?
Absolutely. Big ones, too. We've had turtles come in that were, oh gosh, it takes 4 of you to lift an adult loggerhead. It might be 300-400 pounds. And when an animal like that is exhausted, he's not helping any. Or if he's putting up a little bit of a struggle because he's not ready to, he's got some vigor in him still, we know that that's an animal that we can help. And boy, we've had some that came in, like right now we've got a Kemp's Ridley that was struck by a boat and just cracked wide open to where you thought, is this animal even going to make it? And now that animal is actually most likely going to be at the aquarium now as a home and have a future after years of rehabilitation and rescue, thanks to our team of animal husbandry professionals and our biologists at the aquarium, and just that dedication and the volunteers that help as well.
And you do a lot, right, with the aquarium? You're pretty involved with them, Leo?
Yeah, we actually went to Melbourne with their joint UCF project, University of Central Florida, when we were actually going out there, and it was hard not to stumble across a turtle that was making a nest of eggs. There's just so many. It was the turtle nesting grounds, and there's that historic park for it. But there were so many turtles. Like when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, they used to mark off the nest with little triangles and ropes. There's so many turtles out there, they just don't mark them.
Oh,
wow. It's true. Well, and every one of those turtles, if hundreds go out to sea, every one of those, it's really taking a risk. They're teeny. Sometimes they wash back. They just get exhausted, and they might come to the aquarium to grow for maybe another 6 months or a year before we can take them back out and put them back out into the wild. Or if you look at the challenges we've had this year with red tide, we've seen record numbers of turtles. Maybe a decade or so ago we had a challenge like this. That's why every turtle we rescue and return to the wild really can have an impact, especially with a species like the Kemp's Ridley, the most endangered of all the turtles, one of the smallest species and the most critically endangered. Every one of those turtles that has a home again out in the wild can really represent a hope for its species. That's why it's so important.
Our guests are so great. We could give every single one of these a full hour.
I know.
So much information.
I was just thinking, so I've got my book of 100 things to do. I'm sightseeing. I've just done number 37. I've gone to the aquarium. I'm in the immediate area. I'm kind of hungry, but I want a sampling of a whole bunch of Tampa restaurants. Where do I go?
So let me just tell you about our next guest, which is Mrs. Lauren Moser. Thank you. I'm trying to pronounce it with an accent. I'd never been to Armature Works, right? Admittedly so. I totally had to admit that. So I'll just throw myself right under the bus. What a treat.
A day.
Oh, my gosh. I had never been there. So I had my first experience ever there with Lauren. She gave me a whole behind-the-scenes tour yesterday. We got to see everything except for your rooftop bar that you're building.
Yes, that was the only thing that was closed off, and I didn't have the key. You would think I would, but
I tell you, yesterday,
they don't give me access to everything.
Leo, really, you should have been there with Lauren because your brain, right, as the engineer, thinks totally different than mine, but I was in awe just of all the original structure, and there's so many things there that totally would get absolutely missed.
Oh, we
if
went
you're
through
just
everything.
there hanging out.
I showed you all the details. I tried to give you a little history lesson.
So let's talk about. I just want to talk through my mind and my experience from yesterday when we walked through it. So first of all, like where I met Lauren, there was a fireplace that was just covered up, right, with drywall that they discovered.
Yeah. When they were going through trying to rework the building and figure out the best use for it, they found this fireplace as they were knocking walls down. And then they decided to reconfigure the entire entrance to make that the centerpiece. So when you walked in, you had a really big wow factor and, reorganize the space just a little bit to make it flow a little easier. So there was a lot of setbacks trying to get to the finished project come February 2018. We just opened this year.
Real quick, the history. What was that building before it's now known as Armature Works? Like, what was the history of that building?
The building was once a storage and maintenance facility for the Tampa electric streetcars. So it dates back to the early 1900s, and the building was constructed in 1910, and the history books say it was completed in 1914. So it ran for years up until the 40s when everyone adopted the automobile for alternative means for transportation, and Tampa Armature Works, which was a phosphate and machinery company, took it over. And they owned the building and operated there for the past 60, 70 years.
So this area that Lauren's talking about, when you walk in, you literally look up, and she said they're working on like plaques and stuff throughout so people don't actually miss that. Because that's such a cool venue. We went in the morning, there was nobody there. Yeah. And I said, I imagine on the weekend, this place is slammed. And she's like, you can't walk.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, we don't go on Sundays.
But so I could see how easy that would be to miss it in a room full of people. But literally you look up and there's this huge contraption that used to move the streetcars, still in there, still part of the original structure. You never noticed it,
I didn't know that. No, I've seen it. I would know if I'm supposed to talk. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. You can see the history of it. I have to ask you, what became of that skeletal streetcar that used to be in there? We used to have events there a few years back, and it was like a ghost streetcar. I thought it was beautiful.
I don't know what happened to that. That's a good question.
Would be such a cool centerpiece. I want to climb on it.
I don't know what happened.
And so the other thing too is they have this huge room with like an open kitchen that you can rent out for like.
Oh, the show and tell space. Yeah, when you first walk in, it's perfect for cooking classes, cooking competitions, baby shower, bridal showers, private dinners. You can actually hire one of the chefs from any of the market vendors within the market to come and do a full demo, teach you how to cook. We've also been doing kids cooking classes, which has been really popular and fun. There's a long waiting list for people to get in, but we have to limit it because kids with knives and it gets a little scary.
So I have to tell you, when people first started talking about Armature Works, they were like, oh, you have to go check this place out. It's so cool. I'm like, what is it? And they're like, well, it's just restaurants and bars. I'm like, we can get that anywhere. But honestly, when I went there, I was totally blown away.
Yeah,
it's
so much
more about an
more.
experience.
Yeah.
It's really an experience.
And you go and you can come so many different times for multiple experiences. And that's the great use of this mixed use building. So if you're coming for a corporate function, you're coming for a meeting, having cocktails with friends, you're bringing your kids to come and play on the front lawn. I mean, you can really have so many different fun and memorable times there, and it just keeps people coming back. And one of the main things that I've been really focusing on is reaching out to new audiences and trying to attract new people to come and visit, because you really can make it your own. You can rent bikes on the Riverwalk and stroll and ride and hang out all day. Once the building will be completed, though, we will have an extension of the Riverwalk all the way to Boulevard Bridge. There will also be 28 public boat docks, so you can also arrive via vessel if you choose.
Will there be a brewery in the Armature Works?
There will be a craft brewery. There is craft beers located inside, but there will be a pavilion bar outside, so you can also get cocktails and beer outside as well.
So this space is amazing. I mean, everything from like the courtyard to this eatery place we talk about called Show and Tell to there's a restaurant that changes out every 3 months. Did you know that?
I love that.
I didn't. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, there's also space for 2 full-service restaurants. So the existing one right now is Steelbach, and then they're also working on a second location or a second restaurant that will be opening early next year.
So there was a whole bunch of construction going on this one section section, and I got to peek in there, like literally still dirt on the floor, like the original brick buildings totally being redone. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And just between like the outside area to hang out. And I told you, I travel a lot for business. I'm in San Diego at least 4 times a year, and that's what it reminds me of. So these big roll-up doors that just bring the inside out and the outside in. Really, just amazing.
And it's the best time of the year for that too. I mean, we've been waiting all summer long to, get past the heat, and now that the weather is finally broken, we've been opening up the doors, and you really have that indoor-outdoor feel, and you get an incredible breeze off of that river walk, or right where on that bend of the Hillsborough River. So you never feel like you're in the sweltering heat. You always have some nice, cool breeze flowing, and it's really, really a nice place to hang out.
And the thing that surprised me too is there's actually a place for office spaces. You can rent by the day, by the hour. You can have a permanent location. You guys are looking like I didn't even know that.
All. See,
Yeah,
there's Bay 3, which is our co-working space, offers 28 private offices.
Oh, fantastic!
There's also a general membership. So if you want, more privacy and
is that open like 24 hours if you have a general membership? That's
absolutely
pretty cool.
So you can come in, you have your own key card, you can access, you can get to work, you can take a little break.
We might have to share an office just to hang out there.
Like I said, I could bike there every day.
Yeah.
And what I really like doing is you guys have pipe plumbing to these machines, and I can get fizzy water halfway through
that's a big fan favorite.
Right.
Yeah, so I just get a Riverwalk cup, put my fizzy water in it, drink it, take the same cup, put my vodka in it, and continue my bike
Wait, where
ride.
are you talking about? I missed that.
There's 2 water stations, so they have we have sparkling still, and I think it's flat or cold. I can't remember what it is, but it's really refreshing. So you can have your free water at any point in time.
So this is just outside?
No, this is
inside. It's
inside.
inside.
Yeah.
Okay. And then not to mention they had this huge room that you could rent out for
gathering,
like weddings, private events. I mean,
it is not your average ballroom. And original brick walls. You have state-of-the-art AV lighting technology.
I don't want to miss the market. Do you still do the monthly market?
We do in Leaf Flea.
That's fantastic. That's a real treat, even on a Sunday. It's worth the crowds.
It's definitely worth the crowds,
See
and
the best of Tampa there.
We're launching Heights Night Market on November 14th.
Cool.
So this is going to be a market similar to an Indie Flea, but outside. So out on our front lawn, we'll have live music. We'll have local vendors and artists, and a really cool shopping experience at night. And really just trying to take advantage of this weather while we still can. So the market launches November through May of 2019.
Perfect.
So Lauren's job is to keep this place hopping, keep it moving, keep it full all the time, which from what I hear, you are doing a spectacular job. When we come back after the break, we're going to give away tickets to the aquarium, $25 to Armature Works, and 2 books for the best things to do in Tampa Bay before you die. Stick around. We'll be back in a minute.
Curious what your Tampa home is worth? Here's an easy way to find out what homes like yours are selling for in today's market. Text the word value to 813-377-2775 for a free report on Tampa house prices. We'll send you a free report with up-to-the-minute statistics based on all homes for sale sold in your neighborhood over the last 6 months in all price ranges. To get your free report on Tampa Bay house prices, just call or text the word value to 813-377-2775. Are you looking for your next home? The truth is that most buyers want a home, not a real estate agent. I understand, but factually, you need an experienced agent on your team like me. I'm Katrina Madewell with Keller Williams Realty, host of Tampa Home Talk, and I've been in the real estate and mortgage industry selling homes for more than 23 years, and it would be our pleasure to help you find your next home. Love where you live, or I'll fix it. Welcome home. 813-936-2302. 813-936-2302.
Is it possible to put fun and politics in the same sentence? You can if you're talking about the show Mason Dixon and Charlie the Sarge Oaks do every weekday from 11 a.m. till noon on Money Talk. It's Mason Dixon Wide Open with the Sarge. They take local and world affairs very seriously, but just can't help themselves and insert a jolt of fun to lighten things up. Mason grew up a Southern boy in Memphis and has been doing hit radio shows for decades. The Sarge grew up in Hippie Heaven, Oregon, battled the Viet Cong as an Army sergeant, did radio morning shows, and was a broadcast businessman for decades. They've been buddies for years, and when you mix them together on the radio, it's a little weird, but fun. They only have one rule. keep it clean. They're both motorheads, so there's always some car talk. Join in and give your opinion toll-free at 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010. Mason-Dixon wide open with the Sarge, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till noon on Money Talk 1010 a.m., 103.1 FM and 92.1 FM, or 99.5 FM HD2.
On the Dave Ramsey Show, life happens caller after caller.
What an institution in radio that this has become now. Almost $500 million paid off that has been screamed about on the Dave Ramsey Show. That's just wild. And with 8 or 10 million listeners in a given moment here on the radio, we have no idea what the actual economic implications of that simple idea called the debt-free scream really are.
Dave Ramsey, weekdays 2 to 5 on Money Talk 1010, Tampa Bay's business address.
Rumors, news, controversial topics, the best interviews in the game. You know I have my finger on the pulse when it comes to pro wrestling. I'm the legal man, Mark Charles, host of Outside Interference Wrestling Radio, and now I like to introduce my new co-host, Anthony Santa. They call him Pink Shirt Guy. For the last 2 years, I've been hosting the only terrestrial radio show in all of the U.S. focusing on pro wrestling, and I've had so much fun doing it. Thank you guys so much for taking the ride with me. Join us every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for Outside Interference Wrestling Radio.
Welcome back. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. Thanks for joining us and sticking around during the break. We're glad you're here. Hey, if you want to connect with myself or any of my off-air guests, we are happy to hook you guys up. If you don't love where you live, I'll fix it. If you need barrel engineering and inspections help with an inspection or any type of related stuff, they can help. Call us at our off-air number, 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775. And you can call or text us on that number, 813-377-2775. Pat, are you ready to have some fun with those non-working phones on your side?
No, they're working very well this morning. So bring it on, sister. Bring it on.
Give away a whole bunch of stuff.
All right, so let's give away a bunch of stuff and we'll let you guys just pipe in and chime in and share and talk to each other and add whatever you want to add. So we have 2 books of the second edition for 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die.
Signed by the author?
Signed by the author, Miss Kristen Hare. Call our studio line,
888-404-1010.
That's it.
888-404-1010. We have 2 books signed by the autograph of the author.
Yes, and there's a lot of amazing things in here. It's what, a $20 value, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about $16 plus tax. And can I just say I'm so excited about the Armature Works, and I think that it's an example, like the aquarium, of the things that we have in Tampa Bay that we're so lucky for that so many people take for granted.
Yeah.
We have all of these spaces that were one thing and are now another. We have done a fantastic job of protecting spaces like the old hotels. We're so lucky to have the Tampa Theater and the Hotel Florida, and it takes a special person to walk into one of those spaces and reimagine what it could be, and we get to continue to enjoy it. I just think those spaces are so special. We have like world-class institutions here, and so if all you're doing is hitting the highway and going to the games and going to the beach and Disney like I used to do, you're missing it. So I love your motto. My motto is, don't let the tourists have all the fun.
We're
so lucky to live here, and these places are just examples of them.
So Pat George, real quick, we got $25 to Armature Works and 2 tickets for the Florida Aquarium. I'm going to let you divvy those out.
Tickets autographed?
I don't know. Are they, Eric?
Could be.
Eric's going to autograph your ticket to the Florida Aquarium.
I know the voucher has to be signed by someone.
Yes.
So.
I was going to say I'll probably have to sign the PO.
So 888-404-1010. We're going to give you $25 to Armature Works. We are going to give you 2 tickets to the Florida Aquarium, and we have 2 books, 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die. 888-404-1010. Pat George, I'm going to let you handle that. 888-404-1010. So Kristen, back to your point. Just wanted to make sure we got that in real quick. Yeah, like we have a ton of stuff to do. I was absolutely blown away with Armature Works. Like
I'm curious, Katrina, and for everybody else, what's your very favorite thing to do here?
Oh my gosh!
What's the thing that when someone comes to visit, or when you have you're in the mood to get out of the house and do something? What's the thing you love? to do?
It's interesting, and I was telling Lauren this yesterday when I was visiting her at Armature Works. When I grew up in Tampa, nobody lived downtown. Mm-hmm. Like, you were really weird if you lived downtown. Mm-hmm. And I'll just tell you, because I dated a guy that lived downtown, and he was pretty weird. But nobody lived down there. And now it's this whole, Leo's shaking his head, this whole walkable space. Well, but now it's normal. Like, it's a normal downtown.
Right.
People
it's
live
very
downtown.
Much alive.
So the footprint of Tampa and like what it used to be, like you said with Busch Gardens and the beaches and Disney, like that is just a tiny little footprint of Tampa. When I went into Armature Works yesterday, when I was looking at that and then knowing that it connects right next door to the aquarium, and then you've got guides like this, Kristen, for 100 things to do in Tampa Bay. I mean, you could live here and miss so many of these things. And I think that's true for me as well. But when I went to Armature Works, I told Lauren yesterday, I said, this really is the future of Tampa. Like the old become new. And, you mentioned the Hotel Floridian. That hotel was 200-year-old hotel, and I knew some of the people that were involved in getting that thing up to par.
And it's in both editions of the book. You don't have to stay there like the Vinoy in St. Pete or the Don Cesar in St. Pete Beach. You don't have to stay there to go and enjoy it. You can go do tours. You can go to the bar and get a local beer and like look around and appreciate. They've done a beautiful job of preserving those spaces that very easily could have been torn down.
And there's so many things to do. Like you asked me my favorite. Like I really don't have one.
Yeah.
Like I would say the Channelside District is my favorite area.
Yeah.
And if I could pick any area and like pick up and relocate, that's where I would pick.
Yeah.
It's an easier question for
but
me.
They're building
what is
plenty
your
space.
I live in Ybor, so that's my favorite area.
Have
And
you
I
done
met
the
my
ghost
husband in
tour?
Ybor.
Have you done the walk-in ghost tour?
Yeah, I've done.
Yet?
I actually know the guys
That is
that
fun.
do the ghost tours, so it's kind of hard to take them seriously when they like serve. Back when Fuma Bella's used to be open, they were serving me drinks, and now they're running the ghost tour, and I'm like, well, yeah, this is still fun.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And you get to go into the Cuban Social Club, and you get to go into places that you normally wouldn't have any reason to go into. So I love that tour.
I would say my favorite things of all things to do really would be to go out on the boat.
Yep.
So when you mentioned that they're going to put those pull-up boat docks, like that's that's where it's
get
at.
on the water. Speaking of that, this is the time of year too when the manatees are coming into the Manatee Viewing Center. So that's just south of us, and you can also experience, get to know our cow nose rays down there, get wet up close and wet and personal with them. But it is such a great way to appreciate these beautiful beasts, these manatees.
Gentle giants.
Yeah, and it also you'll learn what you can do to help protect those animals. Just like if you help manatees, even though they're like the big fuzzies, you're helping the sharks, you're helping the turtles, the rays, everybody else out there too. Just make sure to, again, cut back on that plastic. It's really easy to just skip that straw. I think folks are getting on board with that, or bring your own with you. And oh, wow.
All right,
that sounds
Pat.
exciting.
You want to go ahead and announce our winners real quick? Thanks for listening to Tampa Home Talk. Y'all, we love you.
We got all kinds of winners. 4 winners: Patty, Tammy, Brian, and Donia. They all selected their gifts, and they're all happy, and they say thank you very much, and they love the show.
So welcome.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening to Tampa Home Talk. We appreciate it. We love you. We've got a couple open houses tomorrow, and I have 3 off-market cash-only deals. If you're interested in those, you can call me at 813-377-2775, 813-377-2775. How are we doing on time, Pat?
You got about less than a minute before you're going to start hearing your lovely
We
music.
can fit a lot in a
You
minute.
can get a doorbell. Usually get a doorbell.
Are you kidding with all this content? There's no time for a doorbell.
What's a
Not
doorbell?
This week.
I mean, I know what a doorbell
So we give the 2-minute tip of the week away every week. And so, my love where you live or I'll fix it. And be close to community. Like Leo.
Love where you live or read this book and then love where you live.
I'm so excited about that book because it is so much fun to get out in your backyard. When a weekend goes by and you think, did I do anything? Now there's a guide out there to say, get your butt up and go outside and love Tampa Bay.
And
It's
so
much fun.
I really wrote the second edition for locals.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
Can't wait to
awesome.
read it.
If I can ever replace myself, maybe I'll tag along with you for the 3rd edition. But I stay pretty busy in the real estate space, and I love what I do. Leo, we love having you as a partner. If you hire us to buy, sell, or be involved in the process, you will likely connect with Leo or somebody on his team to do your inspection. They do a fantastic job. We can't speak highly enough of them. So, welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk. Remember, love where you live, or we're going to fix it. 813-377-2775. Thank you, all 3 of you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. Thanks for having us
For
on
being
board.
our guests. We love having you. Thank you for the goodies that you gave away. Our listeners, I know, appreciate that. And again, 813-377-2775. Love where you live, or we'll fix it. Welcome home, and you'll be with Leo next week. Pat, George, and I will be out. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
The preceding program was paid for by Katrina Madewell. The views and opinions expressed on this program were those of Katrina Madewell and not those of Beasley Media Group, this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers.
Tampa Bay's business address is Money Talk 1010 AM and available on HD at 99.5 HD2. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Money Talk 1010 AM. Tampa Bay's business address.
On the Dave Ramsey Show, life happens caller after caller.
What an institution in radio that this has become now. Almost $500 million paid off that has been screamed about on the Dave Ramsey Show. That's just wild. And with 8 or 10 million listeners in a given moment here on the radio, we have no idea what the actual economic implications of that simple idea called the debt-free scream really are.
Dave Ramsey, weekdays 2 to 5 on Money Talk 1010, Tampa Bay's business address.
The MMA Talk Show is moving to Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Mark Charles and his co-hosts discuss the latest in UFC and combat sports, featuring live interviews and in-studio appearances by the biggest stars in UFC and up-and-coming pro fighters from Florida. Join Mark every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for the MMA Talk Show. Catch the replay Thursday nights at 11. Highlights and interviews free and on demand at MMATalkshow.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at MMA Talk Show and follow Mark on all social medias at The Legal Man Mark.
WHFS Sefner, WQYK FM HD2 St. Petersburg, 103.1 W276CX Newport Richey, 92.1 W221 DW Tampa.